Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic week. Today I want to talk to you about going to Bermuda on a cruise instead of the Caribbean. So yeah, there are some differences and I'm going to tell you some things that you can do in Bermuda while you're there right after this. First off, Bermuda is one of those kind of out of the way vacations if you think about it because most of the Bermuda cruises start off in New York or Boston. So it's a lot closer for people on the East Coast, and even myself here in Canada, it's faster for me to get to New York than it is for me to get down to Florida. I can drive to New York in about 8 hours, 8.5, 9 hours, where it's a 28-hour drive to get down to Florida and 30 if I'm going to Miami. So that is an interesting place for me if I wanted to go to Bermuda and I want to enjoy the sun and just get away from the cold. Now remember, when you're leaving from these cities and it's fall and it's spring, it's not 100 degrees those first days when you start leaving. It can get very, very cold on your first day or your last day coming back to New York on a cruise. But once you get to Bermuda, that's where the sunshine comes out. And if you're on a 7 day Bermuda cruise, chances are you're spending 3 to 4 days in Bermuda. So you don't have that restriction of having to rush back to the ship by 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock because it's sailing out. You can go out on a morning excursion, you can come back, enjoy a light lunch, spend some time by the pool, take a nap, get dressed, have dinner, and go back out and visit more of Bermuda. So it's a lot more about exploring Bermuda as a destination than it is about, a normal cruise, which is multiple stops on your trip. So, what are some of the things to do while you're in this destination for that long a period? Well, right off the bat, explore the area you're in. You're normally docked at the Royal Dockyards in Bermuda, and the beautiful fort that's there. There's a beach right beside the fort area. The Some of the views from up on top are absolutely some of the best views of the water, and it just brings back a lot of historical history. You can just imagine, before the time of machine guns and atomic bombs and tanks, sitting up there on the fort with this old cannon and a musket looking for sails off into the sea. And it brings back the nostalgia of those days. And you can just imagine being stationed here at that time in the middle of these small islands protecting the area. And it's just something I like to do. And I hope a lot of other people like enriching themselves in the history when they're in these type of locations. Another really interesting spot to go would be the crystal and fantasy caves that are abundant throughout the Bermuda area. And it all depends also sometimes on the time of day you're in, the different type of lighting that's inside the cave while you're there. It can be a completely different experience from a 10 a.m. visit to a 2 p.m. visit. So it's always a little different every time you go, and it's absolutely breathtaking if you're into the natural beauty of areas and not into the concrete jungle, as we like to call it. But these caves are wide, they're explorative, they have trails throughout, and they're absolutely a fun place to go. People always ask me, and they check on Cruise Critic and they check on other places, well, TripAdvisor, and say, I got to go to a really good beach. Bermuda is known for beaches. It's an island. It's going to have beautiful pink beaches. And a majority of people go to Horseshoe Bay Beach. And they all go there and they're picturing this because they see pictures on the internet and this is what it looks like. And oh my gosh, it's going to be great. And in reality, the beach doesn't look like that. It looks like this. The beach itself is still beautiful, but you're not alone. It's the number one tourist beach in Bermuda, so there's going to be tons and tons of people there. My recommendation to you would be look for some of the smaller area beaches around, some of the small beaches around all the different forts that lay around Bermuda. Did you know there's over 91 different forts in Bermuda? And most of them are, of course, on the coast area, and they all have some sort of little beach beside it. So instead of going to the most crowded beach there is, why not look around? And one of the other beaches that's really nice because they have bar service and you can get food there as well is Tobacco Beach. It's a much smaller area. There are going to be people there, but it doesn't seem as crowded as Horseshoe Bay Beach would seem. And it's absolutely beautiful water, and the outcroppings of the rock and the surrounding area and the crystal clear blue water that's there really is perfect for snorkeling and scuba diving and just lounging around in the crystal clear water of Bermuda. Another good place is the aquarium and the zoo, especially if you have children. This is not some little small designated area. It's a cultural center, and it's run by oceaneers, and they look after their animals, and most of the animals there are there temporarily. They're being re-released, they're rescues. And so if you're worried about, oh, we're keeping everybody in captivity, no, almost every one of these animals is going to be released, and they are all part of a program to enrich the area and the wildlife. And there's huge viewing areas. You can see all kinds of different animals. It's not going to remind you of some, very confined little zoo. And it's very rewarding to hear the story behind some of these rescues, and the children love going around. The pink flamingos are everywhere, which of course you'll love to see in Bermuda. The large tortoises are being rescued. There's a dolphin show, sea lion show. There's all kinds of things. It's not some little out of the way zoo. It is one of the premier areas in Bermuda, and they look after it, and it's well maintained. And of course, if you're in Bermuda, you got to get out. Just try some of the local food venues, the local bars and establishments. Try some rum. Also, don't be afraid to go out and maybe take in a game of golf. Can you imagine some of the breathtaking views that are out there for some of these golf courses? Because the islands aren't wide. They're not 100, 500 miles wide. You can basically walk across them, most of them. It's bigger than that, but you get the picture. So Bermuda is an interesting stop because you don't have to rush back to the ship, yet you have all the amenities of the ship while you're there. You have all kinds of nature to visit, you have historical sites to visit, and it still has cities and bustling restaurants and great food. So it is not to be discounted over the Caribbean. They each have their own personality. So if you're getting a little tired of going to the Caribbean every year, maybe give them a chance. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos, more vlogs, more tips, more everything about cruising, please hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.